When picking out a concealed carry handgun, you're going to be presented with about 500 different options, and about half of those are going to be different models of the 365. Almost all of the ones you see will be striker-fired, polymer-framed handguns, as that's where the industry's been heading ever since Glock. But there are still a couple companies out there who make hammer-fired concealed carry handguns, like Smith Wesson with their CSX. What are the advantages or disadvantages to hammer-fired guns when concealed carrying? The biggest advantage of a hammer-fired pistol is going to be your trigger. When firing in single action, all that a hammer-fired trigger does is drop that hammer right there. Since it's not priming or cocking anything, you can get an extremely crisp break with almost no over travel and usually a very nice reset as well. Striker-fired guns can get pretty good triggers, but they'll pretty much never be able to match a good old single-stage hammer-fired trigger. The disadvantages are added complexity, and the big thing for me is you have to use an external safety. You never want to carry a hammer-fired pistol without your external safety engaged. This is not a deal breaker by any means, but it is something that you're going to have to train around. It might seem very easy at the range to where when you draw, you drop your safety, and then when you reholster, you re-engage your safety. But you have to think about it in a life or death adrenaline dump situation where you're drawing your handgun. You want to make sure that you remember to drop that safety. It is a fine motor skill, and I would heavily recommend training around it to get it to muscle memory. The only thing louder than a boom when you were expecting a click is a click when you're expecting a boom. Striker-fired pistols, believe it or not, are going to use a striker. These are usually not under any spring tension until you start depressing the trigger, and a lot of the time they'll even have a little safety plunger that physically blocks the firing pin until your trigger is depressed. What this means is that striker-fired pistols, without the trigger being pulled, are virtually inert. Well, almost all striker-fired pistols. Whenever you're using them in a hard shell Kydex holster, all that you have to do when you draw is squeeze the trigger, and when it's reholstered, it is pretty much completely safe. The disadvantage from this is obviously that your trigger is going to almost always be a little spongy. It's never going to be as crisp as a hammer-fired trigger. They can still get very good, like the trigger on this Heckler Koch CC9 is a very nice striker-fired trigger, but they don't really compare. Simplicity. In a life or death situation, all you do is draw and your gun is ready, versus something that's a little bit more shootable, but does take a little bit more training to get used to muscle memorying, dropping that safety for you. The CSX is old, but the E-Series is new for this year, and the CC9 is also new for this year. So these are both new guns. I decided to bring them out and kind of use them for this comparison, and I went into this with some presumptions. I figured I would really love the HK because HK makes amazing products and they test them to the point of absurdity. They are known to have extremely reliable, very well built, high quality German guns, and the Smith Wesson CSX original I heard that there were some issues with, so wasn't really looking forward to this one, really was looking forward to the HK. After shooting them, my opinions have completely flipped. The CSX is kind of amazing. It shoots extremely well for the size of gun it is, and obviously with a hammer fired having a really nice trigger and all that. This gun shoots fast, this gun shoots flat, very, very nice. I was kind of blown away. They also have a 3-inch version. This is the 4, where it cuts off right there, so if you want a shorter barrel version, it is there too. None of the issues that were told to me about the original CSX were present in this one. Trigger was nicer. Out of the 300 rounds I shot today of not the highest quality ammo, I had 0 issues with it. It comes optic cut for RMSC out of the box, so put that 507K on there. The value is really nice. It's only about $600, and it comes with 3 magazines, a flush-fitting 12-rounder, a 15-rounder that has a little gap if you want the little pick and key extension, and a 17-rounder for the range, which is mainly what I was using to shoot today. Overall, I'm blown away by the CSX E-Series, and I really like it, and I recommend it. The CC9, on the other hand, was a little bit disappointing for me. Not that it's a bad gun, but I had such high expectations for HK. Reliability-wise, no issues. HK knows what they're doing, and they've been doing it for a very long time. The ergonomics on the gun are very nice. The grip is extremely comfortable. It's fully ambi on both sides. This one comes with 2 magazines, a 12-rounder that kind of has a little pinky extension, and a 10-rounder flush. My problem with it was how it shot. It is very snappy, which all little tiny micro 9s are going to be, but this one recoiled even more than what I was expecting. I think it has something to do with the very high bore axis. Even when you grip it as high as you can, there's a lot of slide up there, especially shooting it back to back with a 1911 style gun where it's got a very low bore axis. There was just a lot of reciprocating mass at the top here. It's also got a very stiff spring. I'm sure it will be a great concealed carry choice for, you know, the typical concealed carry distance, but me personally, the CC9 was not my favorite just because of it didn't shoot very well. I think this ties in very well to the topic of the video of striker-fired versus hammer-fired guns. Generally, hammer-fired guns are going to shoot nicer. They are going to have nicer triggers. It is just going to be a little bit more complicated, again, with the whole manual safety engaging thing and the internals not being as streamlined or Glockified. Guns like the CC9, striker-fired polymer-framed guns, are extremely easy. All you do is put it in your holster, then when you need it, pull it out of your holster and it's ready to go. But the triggers aren't as nice and they usually don't shoot as well. It is really a personal preference thing on what you prioritize. Me personally, I carry a Glock 43X because I'm not cool or unique. For a day-to-day carry, I think a striker-fired gun makes more sense, but if you want to really shoot your concealed carry gun well, not saying that gear makes up for training. You can obviously train on this thing to shoot way better than I can with this thing, but out of the box, this is going to be a better shooter. And out of the box, this is going to be way simpler to just load up, put in your holster, and take with you everywhere you go, and it'll be there if you need it. Just don't buy a 320.